Welcome back to another episode of the Quick and Dirty Marriage Podcast. My name is Dale.
And I'm Heather.
And this is...
Gabbie.
Hi, Gabbie.
Hi, Gabbie.
Hi.
All right, so last episode we talked a little bit about some of the warning signs that one would want to look out for as far as eating disorders are concerned. And then we left off talking about the hospital. And so we entered the hospital. And so you wanted to share a little bit more about, what was being said at the hospital for you.
But first, I want to talk about going to the hospital, like the actual process of it.
Yeah.
Super weird, super surreal. Because this was like an eating disorder thing, like they take it super serious. I think that's like...
Who's they?
Like the hospital.
Oh, okay.
Like the health system. Like super serious. They asked me if I wanted to have a stretcher, but I was like, I do, but that's a little extra. But I was like, I kind of want the attention, but like also no. So I was like, nah, I'll walk. But they were basically like carrying me because I was like,
was
so
this when you were
weak.
going from the emergency room
to the ambulance? And
the mental health
I was ambulanced to the
children's mental health ward.
Okay. Yeah. And then I got out and there was like a team of nurses that greeted me and I was like, what the heck is happening right now? And then two like of the ambulance workers like walked me into the building, up the elevator. Once I was like in the hands of the nurses from the institution. What are we calling it?
Yeah.
Like, what are we calling it?
The ward.
Okay. The ward. That sounds so negative.
The unit.
The unit. Okay, sure. Unit. I like unit. Once I was in the hands of the unit, they let me go. So odd though. And then we went on a tour of it. I had to let go of all my clothes and they took away my phone and like everything was taken away from me and it was so odd.
And they gave you yellow pajamas.
I rocked those though. I did though. So I wasn't upset about it.
Yeah,
They were really
because we weren't there yet. We were at home
getting things for you. You gave me a list of all the things you needed.
And all of it got confiscated.
Yeah, because you can have strings when you're in the mental health unit. You cannot have shoes, nothing with laces, nothing, no mirrors. And here I brought your like mirror and all your makeup and everything. I just hit it. Sorry, Dale. So go ahead, carry on.
And so after all that, the whole process of getting me settled in and I just sat on my room looking out the window. It was like a movie. You guys saw me. Mm-hmm. The first doctor that I talked to though, they introduced himself, whatever. The first question, like once we had gone over like why I was there, first question right out the bat was, how is your family life? And of course, my always response was super good. Like I'm close with every single member of my family. Every member of my family has a close relationship with the other. And that would kind of be like, okay, kind of puzzling because I don't know.
They were puzzled?
Yeah. They were like, okay. And so they're just trying to figure out the stem of it, I think. But I just want to touch on like, you could have a super close family that is super in touch with everybody and like just move like whatever, super good, super stable, whatever, stable family life. It's a good thing. And you could still be affected by an eating disorder. I unfortunately went through early childhood trauma, I would call it, bullying, early stages of other mental health problems, and I was affected by an eating disorder, but you don't need to be affected by all that for it to come into play.
Like you don't have to be bullied.
No.
You don't have to have a mental, like other mental health issues for it to seep into eating disorder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think the stereotypical idea behind all this is, oh, you have a crappy life, you're doing poor in school, you come from a poor family, blah, 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 where that may not be the case. It's anybody. Any child is susceptible to this. Of course.
Yeah, that's 100% true.
So don't think that it can't be you or your child, right?
And so if you're thinking like, oh yeah, no, I got it down pat, all my kids are good, whatever. It could, from an outer view, it could be really good. You could have a really nice looking family with close relationships. But if you like poke and prod, you might find like, okay, well, this is what's up. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what happened with me. I mean, I'm pretty good in school. I am pretty And that's kind of what was puzzling to the doctors, was like, okay, well, this is like not ideal. But at the same time, that is kind of ideal, because you don't have to have a crappy life to deal with this. Mm-hmm. It happens it affects 9 out of 10 girls, and 9 out of 10 girls don't usually have like a crap,
Right.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying, and I think that's really important to address, because it's not a formula. There's no, crappy family, bullying, bad student, all these things. Okay, then that will equal an eating disorder.
Yeah, there's no formula.
There's no formula. Like, you can have everything going for you and have this seep into your life.
It doesn't affect one kind of person.
Right. And I think that's really important to say.
All right, so we are in the hospital talking to the person who took you in. They gave you a tour, and now you're sitting on your bed. Mm-hmm. What are you thinking in that moment?
In that moment, it was almost peaceful, which is very odd to say now, because at the point, I did feel a little peaceful, but also I was like, uh-oh. But I was also like, okay. Because sitting on the bed, I was like, just waiting for something to happen, instead of like, being scared of what was going to happen.
So are you saying, like, did you feel like at peace because you were now no longer in control? Mm-hmm. It's not up to you to eat anymore. Mm-hmm. It's in someone else's hands. Yeah. It's not up to you to like have to figure out what you're going to eat that day and how you're going to sleuth around to get rid of it. Is that why, do you think? Is that what you mean?
Once they took away my phone, it was bittersweet, because I was like, oh no, I can't talk to anybody. But also I was like, no, but that's what I need right now. And that's kind of what I was thinking on the bed too. I was like, I don't have my room back. I don't have anything. I don't have privacy, but I can't have that right now.
So your mindset was, I'm here to get better.
Yeah. I mean, of course I was also like, I want to go home. I want to sleep in my bed again. Mm-hmm. But I was also like, this is what's necessary for me in this point in time, and I'm okay with it. I'm not okay with it, but I'm okay with it. You know what I mean?
I think did it run its course after a while though, because you were not in a ward with people that had eating disorders. You were in a ward with kids that are really struggling. They're hurting, like they have some major mental health issues. And we had a choice to either go to the eating disorder clinic at the university or at the children's mental health ward at the Royal Alex. So do you think it was a good choice? Do you think where you were was a benefit to you? And why did you not want to go to the university?
So I think it depends on every other person, how they would respond to it. I think usually if a girl or anybody is dealing with an eating disorder, I think that the ideal situation is for them to be put into an eating disorder program. Mm-hmm. But for me, I just found that I would make it a competition. And I find that that's very common with eating disorder. Mm-hmm. People who are affected by it.
Is there competitive?
It's very competitive. Comparison is deadly, really. And I feel like if I were in a ward with a bunch of people who dealt with the same thing, and so I saw someone else who was like thinner than thin, I'd be like, maybe I kind of want to look like that. And I would feel like, I don't feel like I fit in here. How do I make myself look like I fit in here? I'm going to do what I need to do to fit in here instead of look like I don't deserve to be there, is what I would kind of think. And so even when I was in the unit, I did kind of have some of that. I don't feel like I deserve to be here. I feel like I'm taking up a room that needs to be taken, but no, I needed to be there. Even though it wasn't obvious to see I didn't have any scars or whatever to show why I was there. I needed to be there just like the next person. So
absolutely. And I remember one of your psychiatrists said to me, he's like, she's so puzzling. He's quite puzzled. And he was a psychiatrist for like 30 years. And Gabbie, you managed to puzzle him. But he said, she just feels like she's taking up a space that she doesn't deserve. And I think he really was just like, how come she feels like she doesn't deserve to be here? Like how she just feels like she doesn't, like, even to the place that you're hurting just as badly as anyone, and you definitely deserve to be there. But in your heart and inside of yourself, it's like, I don't even deserve this. you know, and I think that goes back to that kind of like that self-hatred or like, I don't deserve to be better.
The same way that I didn't deserve to eat, the same way I didn't deserve to drink water, I didn't deserve to get the help I needed.
Right. And now you know that you do deserve that, right? And anybody listening that's struggling, you do deserve.
It. Oh,
you deserve to eat. You deserve to drink. You deserve to get help. And I think that's super important to get through.
Yeah.
Is that you deserve it.
Did you ever feel at a point, like I know that you had many thoughts of I don't deserve to be here, but did you ever feel like I don't belong here?
Yeah.
Like I'm not as bad as these people.
Of course, this was a reoccurring. I mean, when you hear someone screaming, you're like, how am I in the same place as them?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm with a bunch of toddlers. If like was kind of my mental thinking. I was like, it's like I'm in a class full of toddlers that are still learning stuff, but I like felt like, oh, but I'm so far along. But that's what's scary about the whole thing, and that's what's kept me. What would have because I did make sure that I brushed those thoughts away. But if I didn't, that would have like obscured my healing process. Because if you're in this mental state where you're like, I'm okay, I'm fine. I was there for a reason, and it wasn't fine. And so I think,
No. That's good. I like the way you put that. Like, no, I should be here. Like, I need to be here.
And I think it says a lot about your maturity and your character, Gabbie, is that you recognized and you didn't necessarily resist. You had those thoughts that you didn't deserve it, or I'm like so much better off than these guys. You push it off going, no, but I do need to be here and I do belong here. Yeah.
I think this is applicable though to a case that is not so severe. I mean, I was in a hospital, but even in terms of like therapy and stuff, I remember when I had gone to therapy, I was like, I don't need to be here, man. This is just wasting my time. When really I did need to. And I feel like that's common, is that if you take your child to a therapist or something, like you do belong there. You do need to get the help, and that's what they're there for. You know what I mean? Like,
so like that part of that, maybe it's part of the whole eating disorder thing, is that deserve. And we'll just like hang on this for a little bit, is that I don't deserve. And so then when you're here as a parent, your child saying, you know what, this isn't helping. This is a waste of my time. This is a waste of your time. Hear that there's a barrier that is going on inside of your child, and their heart is saying, I'm actually not worth it, and I don't deserve to get better. And what you need to do as a parent is be a parent and talk to the truth of it. It's like, you do deserve help. You do deserve a bed and a spot here at the hospital. You do deserve to be healed and to be whole, and you deserve to eat, and you do deserve to drink, and just kind of be that parent. And you need to be strong, because Gabbie has these big, beautiful brown eyes, and she calls me mommy, and she said, and she can, make me believe, oh yeah, you know what, she is. And as parents, we want to believe our kids are okay. There's a whole denial piece that we haven't talked about as parents, but as parents is this whole denial piece that, no, my kid's fine. Like, they're great. They have everything going for them. Like, we're good. But really, there's the truth to it, is that we're not always good, and we have to be honest and be realizing that our children do need help, and we need to parent up and get them the help they need, even if they resist.
Yeah. And I can see that for some kids, or some parents might think their kids don't want to be there because of, it might be rebellion, but it's actually not rebellion. No. It's this whole deserving piece and stuff.
Yeah. And it's not just this, like, I don't want to be here, because that was a part of it. I did not want to. That was the last thing that I wanted to do, was not be in my comfort zone. But you kind of need to be out of your comfort zone for this, because it was such a detrimental issue for me. I needed to be out of my comfort zone. There's no way that I could have gotten better in this house, I think. You know what I mean?
No, you would have been worse. You would have got worse.
Well, and then I think we got you out of the hospital pretty quick. And I to this day, was that a good choice? Because I saw you deteriorating. I feel like the novelty of being at the hospital and all the help that, like, you loved your nurses and you loved the doctors, but being there was hard. It was very hard. And I can see that you were kind of spiraling in another direction. And so do you think, was it wise for us to take you out of the hospital when we did?
When I got out of the hospital, it was less of like, I knew that I wasn't ready to. And I remember telling my close friend my best friend, that I'm not ready to go. But also, I feel like there's no more growing for me to do here. So I wanted to go home to complete my recovery, but I was not recovered. And so I feel like for a lot, like, and that's kind of the case for all of the kids there, is they're not done recovering. That was when they get, like, what's it called? Discharge. Once they get discharged, that's not the end of their recovery. But I think it's just, that's part one. You know what I mean? And I think it was really hard for me to go home, though, because I kind of did have this idea the whole time that once I get discharged, I can go back to my normal life. But then I was discharged and I wasn't okay to go back to my normal life yet. And it was almost damaging because I was like, it was like, it hurt me emotionally because I was like, I'm not where I should be right now, but I was exactly where I needed to be. But going out of the hospital at that time, I think that was a good idea for me, because I think I was done being there, but not done my recovery.
And I remember we had a conversation in my bed, in our room.
It's never my room or my bed.
Okay.
Or your house.
Or my house.
No, it's all mine. Mine.
Or your dog.
And we had this conversation because it's like, oh, you felt like, well, since you were out of the hospital, you're supposed to be better. And I remember having that conversation where it's like, this is like a part of the journey. Like, I like how you said it's like part one, and it's not over, and it's still not over. And I don't know how you're doing these days. I think you're doing better, but you're also very sneaky and manipulative. So
You're not wrong.
And I love you very much. And so I think that you're better, and I can only believe what you tell us. But I did struggle with the thought. I didn't know if we were ready for her to come home.
I wasn't. But at the same time, I didn't like driving all the way to the hospital every day.
So inconvenient.
Sorry.
And I also, we just saw that you were deteriorating in depression. You weren't leaving your room. You were with people that were really struggling with a lot, and nighttime was very traumatic. That's when a lot of the kids were having the hardest time of their day, was at night. And so I guess we just chose to take you out. But the thing is that you're not completely out. You're now an outpatient at the university for the eating disorder. Yeah. So I think that we still have those supports, and you're still moving forward, and we still have a whole team of people trying to help you and get you better and stuff. So you that part is done. I think that's kind of the emergency net, the safety net.
That's how I saw the hospital. I saw the hospital as, she's dying, let's get her to a hospital, get her to a place where she's not dying, and then next. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Leave the hospital with supports, and now what's next? And so we're in the what's next phase. We're in like phase 2 almost. Would you say?
Yeah, 2.5, I mean.
2.5, sure. We're in 2.5, so right now you have a psychiatrist, you have a nutritionist, and so you go back and forth between those two. And what was that for?
We have a psychiatrist, a psychologist, and a nutritionist. Because the psychologist is for the other one.
Yeah. So you have three people that you talk to, plus us.
Yes.
So 2.5 is underway.
Is there anything you wanted to talk about? Your people might be curious what it's like to be in the menmental health ward.
So
unit
At the unit.
So I think I just because it was novel in a way. But the things that I wasn't expecting. So showering. So cold. Very cold. The towels that you use when you're drying they are the size of hand towels. You need like 5 to cover your body. The water creeps out of the shower and it soaks all of your clothes on the ground. So you're always throughout the day you're wearing wet clothes from the shower.
No locks.
Wow.
There's no locks on the doors. Every 30 seconds someone's going, "Are you okay?" So I like to sing in the shower, and that was very sad that I couldn't sing in the shower. Anyways, bedtimes, again, every 5 minutes someone was checking in. Lights out, 9 o'clock. I felt like a kid. Like snack time, bedtime, lights out. Like everything was super, but
scheduled,
it was
very scheduled.
super good though. I loved it in a way. Like
the schedule,
and not having my phone. I was so fine with it. I was complicit to everything, really, except for the meals and stuff because that was my own thing. But with the whole scheduling stuff, super complicit. But yeah.
talk about the food.
Food, inedible.
It was really
Like, it
gross.
was hospital food.
Like,
yes.
I've been in the hospital every time I had a baby for like a few days, and I loved the hospital food.
No.
On the unit, not good food.
No. And so, but I think that it was good that I went home though, because I wasn't eating the food because it wasn't necessarily stuff that I wanted. A, I was trying to deny the fact that I needed to eat food. B, if I wanted to eat food, if I convinced myself, okay, maybe today I'm going to eat, I didn't want to eat that stuff. But then when I would go home on weekend passes, that's when I would start eating more because I was like, this is the food that I like. And so that was part of the reason why I wanted to get discharged, because I was like,
You're never going to get better here. Yeah.
Like I'm losing weight because the food that they're giving me is plastic in the shape of food.
Yeah, so then you had day passes. And so what, how often did we take her home? Once a day?
Once a day. And that's kind of why they were like, okay, she probably just needs to go home. I think that's why she got home quicker.
And that's why we felt like, okay, let's just take her home.
Yeah,
because
she
on day
was
passes.
at home because you're crying and just like, Mommy, please. And you would be so depressed being there. And what are some other things that you could share about the unit?
I mean, should I talk about the people?
You could. Yeah, I think that's what's interesting.
Yeah, leave names out, obviously.
Oh, of course. I don't remember them. So what's really funny was the community that we all had with each other and the whole relationships that we had. We kind of did have like good relationships. I did, at least, because when the nurses weren't watching, we would just talk like normal teenagers. And it was kind of fun. And we would play card games and stuff. And I think I found it so fun to have relationships with everybody because that was kind of my normal. Everything was super not normal to me except for the relationships that I had with other people. And so I think that was super, that helped me, I think. And just being able to have a community with people, even in a place that was so like out of your comfort zone, was super, super special, I think. And you can't create that anywhere else. You know, those kind of relationships.
You said that when the nurses weren't around, we talked normal. So when they're around, how would you talk?
When they're around, you use code words. So, everybody has like 1 or 2 nurses assigned to them. I usually had 2 just because they had to watch me a bit carefully. But they just watch you. And so you kind of have to talk in eye language and hand signals. I kind of wanted to pick up some sign language because that would have been great because then we could have talked about all the things we shouldn't have been talking about. But yeah.
I remember what the doctor said, like What do you think I was going to say?
I know what you're saying.
No, go ahead. What do you think I'm going to say?
I was a flirt, but I wasn't a flirt. It wasn't intentional. I'm just a charming person. Anybody who knows me, you know that I'm like super charming. That's just me, okay?
That wasn't what I was going to say.
Never mind.
I was just going to say that another puzzling part, that your psychiatrist, who had been a psychiatrist for like 30 years, he was puzzled of the fact that once again, you were so kind to all the other kids that were there. You were like you're always asking everybody how's their day and how they're doing, and oh, you look so gorgeous today, and oh, hi, beautiful, and just being a light and being so caring for everyone. And I wonder that if other kids that struggle with eating disorders, if it's one of the things that they're so caring and they love everyone, they just don't know how to love themselves.
It's like I make it, because I have thought about this. It's like I make up for the lack of care that I have for myself and other people. It's not, but I don't think of that as in an unhealthy, like I don't care for other people. I just think of it as like I have so much care for everyone because I don't have any for me. I do now, but then.
So you're sacrificing.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm taking the care that I should have for myself, but I'm spreading it into the world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that's beautiful, and I think that's what makes you so special. But I also am hoping that you will understand that you need to care for yourself.
Yeah. So I had this one nurse, and he kept me in line because he saw how I acted throughout the days. And I was so I cared so deeply about these people. I really did. Once I got to know them, they kept me up at night because I just cared for them so much. And he said to me, you need to stop caring about them. I see that you care about them. I can see how you interact with everybody, but it's not going to be helpful for you at the end of the day. And he was he kind of was I was in trouble. And I was like, what? I'm not allowed to care? What is happening? And it was kind of foreign to me, but it was super actually cool because I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try not to and focus on myself, because I feel like it's easier to not care about yourself when you're more focused on caring about it. And that's kind of my whole life story, is I've always been the therapist of my friends. And that was kind of me avoiding my own problems and thinking just overwhelming myself with other people's problems so that mine didn't seem so bad and mine felt like they didn't need to be addressed, because I saw all of these problems and I was like, okay, well, at least I'm not this, I'm whatever. And that's kind of what helped me just nurture my eating disorder in a way, because I didn't feel like it wasn't as bad. I don't have whatever other people have.
Yeah. Or it's a good distraction of your own problems, right? It can be distracted by helping this person and that person and caring and staying up thinking about their problems and praying for them or whatever. And then you can be distracted by that and not having a single care for yourself. And so when it comes to the fact that you cared so less about yourself that you're now not able to care for anyone for a period of time because you are a wreck. Did that help you realize that, wow, I do need to take care of myself, because if I don't take care of me, I can't care for anyone?
Yeah. So that night that I went to the emergency room, that was the kind of the key factor of oh my gosh, I can't die. I knew that I was dying and I was like, uh-oh, no, I need to get help ASAP, because I can't let myself die. Because I helped a little girl that day, and I was like, had I not been there, she would have had a rough night or whatever. Same with my friend that I helped her eat. She would not have eaten that day. And so it's I saw that because I help people, I was I can't let myself, you know what I mean? It kind of just added value. And even if you don't have that characteristic, you still have the same value. But I don't know. For me personally.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important, because I think as well, I can say for moms, I think we take care of our kids, we take care of our house, we take care of everything, and we usually neglect ourselves. And maybe our children are watching us, maybe watching me being completely selfless, completely don't take care, I just pour my life out for my family and then neglect myself. It could be a signal that I'm sending to my daughter and to my other children, going, it's okay to not take care of yourself as long as you're taking care of everybody else. And it's a wrong message. And I think moms really need to hear it's important for your kids to see you taking care of you, buying yourself clothes and not being oh no, I'll buy you clothes. It's okay. Because as a mom, you deserve to have nice clothes. You deserve to have a bath. You deserve to have a night out. You deserve these things. But often moms think, oh no, like we're just going to be selfless and give our kids everything. And maybe they see that. And that's could be part of the situation that we found ourselves in.
From a young age, I was super interested in self-care. On like Instagram, they have like these self-care threads and stuff, Twitter and everything. Never did I practice them, but I always like saved these posts that like set like instructions on how to practice self-care. And I feel like that is actually a cool thing that you could stress is as parents or whatever, is just to integrate the idea of self-care, self-love and everything. I'm still learning that with like my therapist and everything right now. And it's so cool. I'm learning everything, new stuff every time I go there. But it's really important to like enforce this idea of self-care.
Mm-hmm. And as moms and as dads to model that, to be like, it's okay to treat yourself good, because maybe that message is being passed down that, oh no, I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it. Yeah. And then it becomes echoed in your children that they don't deserve it. Other people deserve it, but they don't, because they saw their parents sacrificing and feeling like they don't deserve it. And somewhere along the line, I felt like I got that message. So I think we need to like rewind a little bit and like get that right as parents, as we think we're doing our kids a favor. But I think that it's actually damaging. Yeah. Anyways.
All right. So let's wrap up.
Is there any words you want to part with, Belly?
I think one thing that I want to talk about the hospital though.
Yeah.
Once I got out, my biggest, like something that was really kind of hurtful to me, people talked about it like it was this easy experience that could be done over and over again. And I don't really like talking about the problems that I had in the hospital, because it's super, like, if you need to go to the hospital, don't be afraid to. It's really not all that bad. It's super, like, if your child needs to go to the hospital like I did, I don't want to paint the picture that the hospital was so bad, because it really wasn't. It was a positive experience at the end of the day. I wouldn't be as far along as I am right now. So I needed that. And at first hearing, you were like, what? The hospital? Like, what? But we learned that no, like that was necessary. And I feel like that I don't want to paint the hospital as a negative experience and a negative thing.
No, that's really good.
But also, I just like, I remember my friends telling me if I was like going through something rough, they'd be like, what if you just went back? And I was like, no, you just said that. Because it was hard to go through. And today I still have dreams that I'm still in the hospital, and it's not this easy experience. You can't really, I feel like a lot of my growth went through like happened through me going through this tough experience. I couldn't have grown in a place where I was completely comfortable in here, like my house. I'm super comfortable here, and that's what kept me from growing. But once I was in an uncomfortable situation, I was able to actually work on growing. So yeah, that's all.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And I did so you said something about the hospital being a bad thing. You don't want to paint it out that way. Oh, as parents, it was actually such a great reprieve for us.
Yes.
Because someone else, because you feel totally alone. You don't,
helpless.
Nobody friggin' talks about this. And so as parents, like I wasn't sleeping or anything. I was so worried about Gabbie. And then when finally we had support, she could be somewhere for the day and the night, and we knew she was okay, and it could give us rest, and it gave us a break. And at first I felt guilty about that, because I'm like, oh no, she's my daughter. I need to be responsible for her. But at the same time, I was like, oh, I'm so glad I can actually sleep and just know she's in good hands and in good care. And so both sides, for the child who is needing to be at the hospital and for the parents, it's so good on both ends. Yeah. So don't hesitate if your child needs to go to the hospital and it gets to that. It's okay. It actually is awesome. Yeah. It's hard, like Gabbie said, but it's so good, and it's good for both of you, for both sides.
Yeah.
All right.
Gosh.
It's our dog.
Our dog is crying. I don't know if you can hear, but we better wrap this up.
All right. So in this episode, we talked a little bit about the hospital and the importance of it and not to be afraid of it and some of the experiences that Gabbie had. And in the next episode, we're going to talk a little bit more about your current recovery
Part
state.
2.
2.5, I guess. All right. So thanks for listening. Until the next episode.
See ya.
See ya.